Good morning. I'm Jaya Calder from High, and it's great to have you on our Shetland Viking wind farm Open for Business webinar this morning. Now, before I pass you on to my colleague Helen Smith to introduce our speakers, I'll quickly go over how we run the webinars. We're recording today's session, and we're happy to share the recording and the presentations with you afterwards. Although you've come in as an audience member, you're automatically muted. We'd love to hear from you throughout the whole of the next 45 minutes. So please use your question box at any point throughout the session. Submit a question, submit a comment, and we'll get back to you and get through as many as time allows on the very short Q&A session at the end. We've got a packed 45 minutes for you to enjoy, so pass over to Helen. Helen.
Thanks, Jaya. Good morning, and thanks for joining us on this morning's webinar. To protect my connection today, I'm going to stay in audio format. And as Jaya said, we've got a lot to fit in over the next 45 minutes or so. On the panel today are Jamie Manili from SSE's. He's the project manager for the Viking wind farm, and he'll give an overview of the project. Darren Lucas, lead project manager from SSEN Transmission, will give an overview of the HVDC link. Representing the Tier 1 contractors, we have Jamie Corser, the Business Development Manager with RJ McLeod, and Darren Main, the Project Manager with BAM Nuttall. We'll then have a presentation from Sandra McCaughey, the Open for Business Programme Manager, and she'll take us through how to register on the Open for Business portal. And then Kirsten Nicholson from Business Gateway will join the presenters for a Q&A session at the end. And again, if you have any questions, then please pop them into the chat box and we'll answer them at the end. Now for the first presentation from Jamie Manili from SSE Renewables.
Thanks, Helen. Hi and good morning, everyone. So first, apologies for the size of the font on this drawing. There is quite a bit of information crammed onto it, but what you're seeing here is the site layout, and I'm assuming that most of you will be familiar with the location and layout. But for those of you who are not, I will quickly talk through this drawing. So we have the A970 running through the centre of the development from north to south, and Samwater Road, as it's known locally, running from east to west. One of the first activities on site will be the construction of the new Samwater Road, which will ultimately become the new public road post-construction, and works are starting on this activity this week, along with the construction of the main compound at east of Samwater. Broadly speaking, the site will be constructed in 3 main phases by RJ McLeod. They will be starting in the west zone, which has 35 turbines, then moving into the central zone, which has 32 turbines, and then finally the east zone, which has 36 turbines. Now on this map, if your eyesight's pretty good, you will see a yellow square, sort of fairly central, and that will be the Cairngorm substation platform that Sheety and BAMS will talk about in a bit more detail later on. Can we move on to the next slide, please, Helen? So the high-level construction programme, it looks a bit like this. Viking has signed 2 of the 3 main contracts for the project, one with RJ McLeod, who will be doing all of the civils works, one with Vestas for the turbine package, and the electrical package is currently being tendered just now. I'm going to jump down to the 4th bar, and in here you will see local contractor Tulloch Developments, who were the successful tenderer for the construction of the Cairngorm access track. This track is required by Sheety in October 20 to facilitate access into the HVDC converter site, and it's an obligation on Viking under a grid connection agreement with National Grid. You will note Sheety and the main contractor BAMS will be starting their construction activities from October this year, and work to construct the HVDC converter station will run until 2024. I'll now jump back up to the top bar. Some of you may have noted RJs have now mobilised to site with a small team and are preparing for the construction works starting at Samwater Road and the main compound. Their works will be largely finished in 2023, and 2024 will be a year of commissioning, reinstatement works and the decommissioning of construction compounds. Second bar down, as well as the Sheety works at the Cairngorm substation platform, Viking also have a substation and welfare building to construct on the platform. As I previously mentioned, the tender process is currently ongoing, with a contract award expected later this year. So there will be several opportunities for local suppliers that will come from the successful tender for this package. Third bar down is a turbine contract that's now signed with Vestas, and they will be responsible for the manufacturing, turbine component delivery to site, turbine erection, and all of the commissioning. Turbine component delivery will commence from around January 23. Turbine erection will commence pretty quickly thereafter from March 23 and will continue right through the remainder of 23. We're hopeful to get all turbines up in a single year. So 2024, the main focus will be around commissioning. Just very broadly speaking, construction works will be substantially complete by everybody in Q4 2023, with 2024 just being a year of commissioning and sort of tidying up. And just the final bar at the bottom there, it's just a note to say that Viking have appointed several specialist consultants from their own procurement framework. Some of those that you'll see there are MBEC doing ecological services, Headland for archaeology works. We've got Tony G doing infrastructure design, and we've had Ramble doing various planning consents for us. Can you nip on to the next slide, please, Helen? So the last slide that I've got here, it's really just to say that as a follow-up to the supply chain event that we held in November 2018, Viking now sees the majority of the supply chain opportunities to come through our Tier 1 suppliers. So today, as you're aware, we have RJ McLeod and BAMS on the webinar. There will be further opportunities to come from our chosen substation contractor once appointed, but also from Vestas once they come along later in the construction programme. Just with regards to Vestas, there has been some early stage discussions regarding a further supply chain event, potentially to be held in Q2 2021. The main focus will be around Vestas, but we could also be looking to invite along our successful electrical contractor for the Cairngorm substation package. There's a bullet point there about Open4Business. I won't say anything about that. I'll leave that to Sandra later on. The last bullet point, again, just a note to say that Vestas are committing to using the local supply chain for resource during the operational phase. There has been a lot of discussions within Vestas about apprenticeship schemes for technicians and servicing staff, etc. During the operational phase, there will be various services required to operate the wind farm, ranging from servicing technicians, parts supply, maintenance, various consumables, statutory testing requirements, civils maintenance of access tracks, drainage, cleaning, etc. There will be a lot of opportunities there. I think that's me, short and sweet. So I'll pass back to yourself, Helen.
Okay, thanks very much, Jamie. We now have Darren Lucas from SSE Transmission.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, I'm Darren Lucas, Lead Project Manager with HVDC Link. Just an overview of our project scope then. Obviously, this goes beyond Shetland down to the mainland. We're building up at Cairngorm, as Jamie noted there, a converter station and an AC substation, essentially in the middle of the Viking wind farm area. We've then got the high voltage direct current HVDC cables going down towards Weesdale Vote for about 10 kilometres, then they change to subsea, about 260 kilometres down through the sea and then into the mainland just north of Wick at North Head. We're actually breaking into an existing HVDC link between Spittal and Blackhillock, the Caithness Murray link, and putting a switching station at that site just at North Head there to create a multi-terminal system to move the power around Scotland as needed, really, depending on generation and demand. And so we've got to tie into those Caithness Murray cables there. But the main works that I'm supposed to talk about today is a piece up on Shetland. So we received approval for the whole project from Ofgem last month, and we also have our planning consents in place, which is here for the Shetland piece in front of you. So this is what we're aiming towards, and this is the converter station, I suppose, in the foreground, with the AC substation just off to the side and one of the smaller green buildings. Quite chunky buildings here. They're about 94 metres wide by 90 deep and about 19 metres high at their highest point. So obviously creation of a major civils platform there, and some fair-sized buildings on top as well, with a bit of landscaping around it, as you can see there. And we'll be right next to the Viking substation that Jamie referred to as well, which will be on that blank piece of land just to the east, northeast of the platform there shown. So we're not showing the Viking substation here, but that's where it'll sit right next to us. On top of this, obviously, you've got the cables coming in, as I said, coming up fairly close to the existing track there. So that's what we're aiming to build to get to that position. In terms of programme, a couple of slides on this. We've got 4 Tier 1 contracts in place. So NKT for our cables, the technology piece of the HVDC itself. So that's all the fancy kit that goes inside the buildings really and controls the whole system. That's ABB, a Swedish company, one of only a few providers in the world that can do that sort of thing. The civils piece is BAM Nuttall, who'll talk later on, and then the AC substation piece is a Siemens BAM joint venture as well. The critical path for us is through the cables, probably not surprisingly. We've got to manufacture and install them over essentially a 3-year period, which is quite tight with NKT. We've got our construction contracts in place, as noted there. We start on site, the mobilisation will start in September with BAMs, ramping up to sort of full works from October onwards. We aim to complete construction by December 23, and then the full commissioning process with Viking will be completed by July 24. There's a bit more detail on the full programme. I suppose the main thing to take away here is, there's a lot going on in parallel on Shetland, at Cairngorm and North Head at the same time. Civils contracts, buildings contracts, electrical contracts, cable contracts, and at the same time we're in the background producing vast amounts of subsea and land cable ready for installation as well, and it all leads through to that all important completion of construction and the commissioning sequence with Viking to meet their connection date in 2024. Just a little piece on our workforce management really when we're up there. Obviously COVID's come to the fore and we've got joint working groups in place with Viking, and I suppose control of the workforce will change as per government guidelines and the requirement as the COVID situation ebbs and flows as we expect it to over the period of construction. Logistics wise, we're looking to provide accommodation, meals, travel, welfare for our full workforce from the next financial year when the numbers ramp up. We are probably leading towards a large central facility such as Cell and S for that, but we'll also be using local hotels for our own staff to go into and things like that. And Viking are also using the wider piece as well. So with a large workforce there on Shetland, we should be able to cater for most sectors to get a piece of the action. Our own site staff is quite a large team. We'll be putting up there from our own client side. On top of the contractors, a senior manager will be up there with a Shetland-based team, and we've taken a couple of local Shetland people on board already to start making up that team. And then supported by the wider business, obviously. But we do see that Shetland team as being, I suppose, self-sufficient because of the geographical location and the scale of the works, what's involved up there. And just a piece at the bottom, we'll be working 7 days, and we've got agreed working hours in place with the Shetland Isles Council to do that, to help us meet our programme. So that's a very brief overview of what we aim to do and how we're going to get there. The more detail on the, I suppose, opportunities piece will come through from BAM as the first Tier 1 contractor coming through on our side of the business. Hopefully gives you an appreciation again of the scale of our part on Shetland and in the context of the wider project. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Darren. And now we'll move on to Jamie Corser from Archer McLeod.
Good morning. Thanks to everyone for joining the virtual event today. Brief introductions. I'm Jamie Corser, speaking to you from our head office. I've got written here sunny Glasgow, but it's chucking it down outside. We've also got Ryan McLean, our project manager running the Viking project from our office in Lerwick. You may not know, some might not know much about McLeod. We were formed in 1951 by Roderick John McLeod, privately owned Scottish civil engineering company, operate throughout Scotland, including Shetland, Orkney and the Western Isles. Got offices in Glasgow and Dingwall, and their annual turnover is about 90 million. The picture is not one of our current plant. We've got one modern plant, or we use more modern plant than that. Just a bit about what we do: roads and bridges, energy and electricity, so that's the wind farm. Also a bit of marine work, site infrastructure, streetscape and building. What we call energy or electricity, our experience there dates back to the 1950s when we did some of the hydro schemes. That's about 35% of our turnover and includes wind farms. So we've carried out over 100 wind farms, so we're experienced at that. So that's enough about us. What activities will be included in our scope for Viking? The main civil works are earthworks, new public roads, or public roads, on-site roads, bridges and hard standings, reinforced concrete bases, cable trenches and drainage. So what will be more of interest to you will be the opportunities that are available to suppliers and individuals. So I'll split these up into subcontractor suppliers. So firstly, subcontractors will have fencing, stonemasons, bituminous surfacing, steel work, which will be structural or steel work for formwork, etc. Piling, drill and blasting of rock, crushing and screening of that rock, soft landscaping, material testing, scaffolding and security. Suppliers, so the usual material supplies of concrete, quarry materials, pipes, etc., reinforcing. Plant and tool hire, including crane hire, waste management, car and van hire, electricians and plumbers. Transport, including marine transport, garage services, local training, photography, maybe not so much, hopefully no snow clearing, but maybe, and temporary accommodation. Employment, we'll be looking for staff, so technical staff, but also labour, general operatives, concrete workers, etc., steel fixers, cleaners for offices, admin people, and environmental type people as well. Lastly, but not least, some local supplies we'll need as well for lodgings, fuel, local shops, and eating in restaurants, hotels, etc., and catering for meetings. So how do you get to know about these opportunities? Well, we'll advertise all the opportunities to be open for business, apart from employment, which we will post on LinkedIn and on our website. We'll be looking for that through the lifetime of the project, starting off next month, but peaking next year and running for a couple of years. Once we've decided on a short list of tenderers, we'll ask suppliers to complete a fairly straightforward questionnaire, requesting details on various aspects of your company, such as health and safety, environmental, quality management, modern slavery if applicable, insurance, etc., etc. Just in summary, we're a Scottish contractor that's been around for a long time. We're experienced in wind farm construction and working in Shetland, and we like to think that we're a good and reliable company to do business with. That's me for now, but I'll try and answer any questions you have later. Any questions about RJ McLeod and Ryan in our office in Lerwick will try and answer any questions that are scheme specific or Shetland specific. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Jamie. And now I'll introduce Darren Main from Balmnuttall.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is Darren from Balmnuttall. I will be the project manager based up in Shetland for the HVDC project. So just a quick high-level summary of our scope for the project up in Shetland. We're building the HVDC interconnector buildings. But before we get to the major buildings, if you like, we've got some civil groundworks to do in terms of workcourse diversions and bulk earthworks at the early phases, which then progresses into platform drainage. Then once the platforms are established, we then start building the converter buildings, which you can see on the model there. And as mentioned previously as well, we also have the other GIS substation, which is the one on the sort of northeast corner of that building. So you can see there with Siemens BAM, but that doesn't start until June next year. And then to finish up of our scope in terms of the civil works, then we have the finishings of the internal roads and internal fencing. So as previously said, we are currently in the process of mobilising. We will be mobilising up towards end of this month. It starts September with a small site establishment crew, and we've been sort of busy in the background doing local procurement procurement, which we've placed quite a number of smaller packages, if you like, for the site establishment stuff to date. So operated plant, we've just placed an order with EMN plant. Our site security noted there is in progress. That was completed on Friday, so that's been awarded to another local contractor to provide site security for us throughout the life of our project, from the next couple of weeks through to 2024. Site cleaning, we're in discussions with that. That one probably will get put back. We'll put that one onto Open for Business. The first two there hasn't been on Open for Business as yet. Well, hasn't been on Open for Business, but the site cleaning one we are struggling at the minute to try and find somebody to help us out with cleaning on the project. We've had 4 companies from Shetland decline to tender for that one. Drone photography is another one we're in progress just now, and we'll post that one Open for Business. And site consumables and PPE is in the progress of being finalised, and again that's with the local merchants in Shetland. Just a little bit about us and our Open for Business. If you remember, with Open for Business since 2013, through the portal we've procured over £14 million worth of work through the portal. We have an Open for Business champion within our business, who's in regular contact with Sandra from Open for Business, just developing and looking to grow the Open for Business network. And all our future packages going forward will be posted on Open for Business. If we go to the next slide, I'll just quickly run through what they look like. So, and a sort of time scales as well. You can see the time bars to the right. So over the next month, we will be looking at our procurement for concrete supply for the project. And there'll be some small aggregates that go with that as well. There's a smaller sort of formwork and reinforced concrete packages, some for site establishment, and then for the main works. So the main works one will be April, and the site establishments will be December when we'll be getting those packages ready. Precast concrete, there's quite a number of elements that we'll like to try and fabricate off-site. There's an opportunity there as well for a precast package, fencing, internal surface and roads, curbing, subcontract packages, compound surfacing, our site establishment from electrical, plumbing setup, etc. There'll be opportunities there, and throughout the lifespan there'll be numerous opportunities, whether it be skip emptying, waste removal, shipping, numerous things to help run the site will be all posted on opportunities from Open for Business going forward. Obviously, we have sort of large buildings within the scope, which will be procured from mainland building contractor. But we have encouraged and from our early discussions with them that there will be opportunities with the local supply chain to help deliver those projects under those subcontracts. Also, beyond the whole subcontracts, we've also got opportunities with local labour to help with the project. We'll be self-delivering things like the earthworks and the drainage, so there will be opportunities for us to employ local labour as well. And we have recently just employed 2 members of our site staff team who were made redundant up from Skatsky Airport, have joined our team as well. So, and again, there'll be further opportunities going forward to join our staff as well. I think that's me.
Thanks, Darren. So now we'll move on to Sandra McCaughey, who'll take us through the Open for Business platform.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining today. As Helen said, I'm Sandra McCaughey. I'm the Open for Business Programme Manager. If we can move on to the next slide. So what I'm going to cover today, I'm actually going to shorten it a wee bit because I know that you want to get some questions at the end, so we'll try and truncate this a wee bit. So if you can move on to the next slide, please, Helen. So what is Open for Business? Well, a lot of you might know what Open for Business is. It's an online portal publicising major contracts and procurement opportunities across the Highlands and Islands. You've heard both from BAM and from RJ that it facilitates trade and engagement between project developers, Tier 1 and Tier 2 organisations, and local suppliers and service providers. But crucially, it provides the visibility of the opportunities and engagement with local suppliers. So for businesses on Shetland, it provides that visibility of the opportunities that are there. Also built into the portal is the opportunity to provide business support, so access to business support to get your business ready to enable you to bid. Open for Business is fully supported and it's free to use for both buyers and suppliers. One thing that Open for Business is it's not a procurement site, although there are elements, as they have business readiness and PQQ built in. Can I have the next slide, please, Helen? Thanks. So for buyers and suppliers, how to get registered, it's the same process. You register if you're a buyer, you create your business profile, you create your opportunities, you publish your opportunities, you can manage your opportunities on there. It's the same for suppliers. You register, you create your business profile, you can receive contract opportunities and you can respond to opportunities actually on the portal. Next slide, please. Thank you. So if you're logging on, this is what you'll see. If you go to www.o4b-highlandsandislands.com, this is what you'll see. So if your organisation is already registered, you would click on the black login button. If you want to register, you're a new registration, click on the register button and that'll take you through the process. Next slide, please. So if your organisation is already registered but you aren't actually listed as a user, you would need to go to somebody within your organisation who is already registered and they can add you as a new user. The control for who's actually registered and who can use the portal lies within the individual organisation. It's not possible for me to add somebody. That has to lie within the organisation itself. Quite straightforward. As people move, new staff come in, you can remove or disable people from the portal. So the first part is to get your business profile created. This is part of the business readiness assessment. So the type of information that we're looking for is the kind of information that contractors are going to want to know if they're going to contract with you. So it's things like your organisation details. Are you a limited company or a partnership, a sole trader? It's that kind of information. We also want you to select business categories, and these are the common procurement vocabulary codes. And we use these to match up the opportunities. So very important that you put as wide a range of business categories in as possible, because that's how the opportunities will be matched to you via email. So they want to know that you've got your insurances and other policies in place. They want to know some financial details. So what's your turnover, to understand the scale of what your business is. They want to know if you've got a diversity policy. Quality management statement, so if you have any quality standards, they want to know that you've got these. And there's also the opportunity to upload a marketing profile. Now, the marketing profile allows you to upload 3 images as well. So when buyers or other suppliers go on and do a search, the marketing profile is what they see. So it's quite important that you use that as your showcase. So when you're on the portal, really easy to use. You're building your business profile from the menu on the left-hand side. You go into My Organisation Business Profile, and then you progress along the tabs at the top, which gives you all the details of organisation, insurances and policies, financial details, and you just work your way through these. So if you are not able to say yes to any of these, it will bring up a prompt which asks you if you want to have some support. If you say yes, you would like some support, what happens is an email will come through to me and I can access support. We've got Kirsten from Business Gateway on this call today, and Business Gateway is providing support to people who need the support to enable them to pass the business readiness self-audit. So to get your profile visible, you need to publish. This is one of the questions I'm asked most often, is that if somebody wants to, if they put their business profile together and they want to make a change, they have to unpublish it. Now, the way you can do that is that you go into the publication tab that's marked there. You can unpublish. If you unpublish, that takes your profile offline. You can work on it, make your saves, save it, make your changes, save them, and then go back into publication, and I can republish your profile. So in terms of the Open4Business portal support, when you're using the portal, there are 3 different ways, or a number of ways, as well as actually getting in touch with me directly, that you can access support. If you're not quite ready, as I mentioned, through your business readiness assessment, you can go into the left-hand menu here for help, and it's Contact Business Support Agency. If you click on one of these, that'll get you the support that you need, and there's a list of things there that you can access. So the next one is to contact the help desk. That comes straight through to me, that's pretty self-explanatory there. And if you move on to the next slide, so that's frequently asked questions. So on the portal, there is actually a range of frequently asked questions. You can go in and it should answer the majority of the questions that you have. But I really would urge you, if anybody wants to speak to somebody and prefers to talk through what their issue is, I'm absolutely delighted if people get in touch with me. That's no problem at all. Can we move on to the next slide, please, Helen? So there's 3 different types of opportunity notices that can be posted, and you've heard from both BAM and RJ McLeod that they're going to be posting opportunities. So there's 3 different ways that they can do that. One would be for a notice only. Now, a notice only is, if you like, a notice that a contract is going to be coming out. So a business might post a notice only to try and establish what skills are actually available in the area. It helps them to do their strategic and operational planning, but it also helps the businesses on the portal to understand what contracts are coming up to enable them to do their strategic and operational planning. So if you see a notice only coming forward, what you can do is say, well, actually, if I get some guys trained, if I get a wee bit of kit, if I look for a partner that may be able to come together with me to do this piece of work, that's how that works. The second one is the contract opportunity, and that's probably the one that will be used most often. That's a contract. Within that, there will be what we would describe as some PQQ. So that would include standard questions that the contractor can put in, some tailored questions, to ask you if you've done this kind of work before and can give examples. These are then weighted and scored, and what the contractor will get is a long list that they can create, a short list which is anonymous, that gives them a short list of contractors that they can invite then into their procurement process. The third one's a request for a quote for smaller items, purchases, and it's just a case of doing a search and being invited, potentially up to 3 people invited in to provide a quote for typically smaller items. Next slide, please. So I won't go through these. These are some of the supplier functions, that you can look at once you get this slide pack afterwards. If you move on to the next slide. So in terms of adding value for buyers and suppliers, there's some ideas that we have here. I mean, it helps to build the network and reputation across the Highlands and Islands for buyers, helps to raise their business profile, but it also provides direct access to the local supply chain. So for suppliers, it helps to provide you with visibility of the business opportunities. You can register and respond to opportunities free of charge. So if an opportunity is posted that matches your business categories, you'll get an automatic email that will let you know about that. And it also gives you the opportunity to be shortlisted prior to the procurement process. I think this is our last slide. So just to reiterate what the guys have said earlier, both RJ McLeod and Bam Nuttall have used Open for Business extensively. You know, millions of pounds have gone through Open for Business they've enabled the local supply chain to have visibility of the projects, they've awarded projects to local supply chain. These guys are committed to making sure that happens. And that's just some examples from both of where, you know, they have actually used the portal and delivered contracts to local supply chain companies. So I think that was a very quick whirlwind tour of Open for Business, and I think that's, if you go to the last slide, I think that's basically me.
Lovely, thanks Sandra.
Please do get in touch if there's anything that anybody wants some help with. Thank you.
Thanks, Sandra. So joining us now is Kirsten Nicholson from Business Gateway.
Hi, my name's Kirsten Nicholson and I manage the Business Gateway in Shetland. Just very quickly from me, the main message that I want to get across is that Business Gateway is here to help you with any aspect of running or growing your business, or just if you get stuck with something, whether that be a one-off quick question or a larger project. As the slide says, we've got various ways that we can help you. The main one being through our local advisors, all of whom have advised for many years and have a broad wealth of knowledge, ranging from startup and pre-start through to growth and specialist advice such as human resources and marketing. If you need digital help, that's available as well. And don't forget, we've got lots of training courses which are being run as webinars at the moment, and we do have recorded tutorials available on the website that you can watch at any time. As Sandra said earlier, when looking at your business readiness for Open for Business, we can help you fill in the gaps. So, for example, you may have certain things, you may not have certain things or even know what they are. For example, do you have an equal opportunities policy, an environmental policy, or a quality management statement? Let us do the hard work and help you if you need help with that. If you have a question that we can't answer, then we'll either go away and find out the answer for you, or we'll signpost you to the right person who can help. We've also got a really good information and research service, which can be used anytime, and like all of our other services, is completely free. That's all from me. Thanks.
Thanks, Kirsten. Now we are going to open it up to any questions for the panel, but we are exceedingly pressed for time. So I think, Jaya, you've been keeping your eye across the questions coming in.
Yes, thank you very much to our audience for really engaging with the questions. We've had a lot through. So what we're going to do is we'll collate all the questions, get answers for them with our speakers, and then share that with the whole audience so everyone can actually see what we have actually been coming in. But we've got time for one or two. So the first question is asking, will there be a common transporting company for the whole project? And which port is planned to marshal the components and material? Over to the panel for that response, thanks.
It's Jamie Manili here, I can go first. So in terms of Vestas, I know that Vestas would typically appoint a single contractor, one of the sort of the bigger players like, you know, a Collett's or a McFadden's. But I know from experience on various wind farms that these guys cannot do all of the work themselves, so they will be reaching out to the local supply chain for various pieces of equipment for delivering equipment to site.
Okay. Thank you very much for that one. The next question is, do you expect Vestas to use Open for Business show opportunities related to this project? Who would like to take that one?
Well, I think definitely I would like to see Vestas using Open for Business. They have used Open for Business in the past, and you know that would be for them to decide. But yes, I mean, we would obviously like to see Vestas using Open for Business.
Okay, thank you. Now, the next question. You mentioned that you're looking at the consumables and PPE tenders. Are these packages out for tender yet? Over to the panel, perhaps Darren.
Yeah, I can pick that one up. Yeah, we have got current inquiries out, but if I can get your details, we can certainly send a package out to you. It's not a problem.
Okay, thank you very much. Next one. Are main contractors keen to engage with PACE to help fill the skills gap? Who would like to take a response to that one. Helen?
I think that's something that we'll need to look into. So we'll find out an answer and get back to the audience on that.
Absolutely great, thanks. Now here's one that comes up anytime that we do a webinar with Open4Business. Does a company have to be located or based in the Highlands and Islands region to be able to use Open4Business?
No, you can be located anywhere. Obviously, the focus of Open4Business is to try and ensure that the local supply chain get as much visibility and opportunity as possible. You don't have to be, we also see part of Open4Business as being a way that local businesses can connect with other businesses. So no, you don't have to be based locally, but the purpose of Open4Business is to try and support local businesses in the Highlands and Islands to have visibility of opportunities.
Thank you very much. Now, as I say, we actually have about over 30 questions that have come in, so we will be doing it after the webinar. But what I would like to do now is pass back to Helen to sum up the webinar and to thank our speakers before we close in the next minute. Helen.
Okay, thanks, Jaya. And yes, thanks very much to all our panellists today, and thanks to the audience for joining us. I would like to say that there will be another Viking Energy wind farm supply chain event next year that will focus on the opportunities to service the operation of the wind farm from 2024. This will allow the developer to conduct a mapping exercise of local capabilities and will help identify opportunities for training schemes and apprenticeships. More details will follow in the new year, so keep an eye on the Viking and HIE websites for news and updates.
Thanks, Helen. Well, it just leaves me to thank our audience, first of all, for coming in. We hope you found it useful. This is just the start of a series of information webinars that we can produce. Thanks to our speakers as well. It was great to have you on board, and we will send out a copy of the presentation, the recording, and the questions answered in due course. And that's our webinar over. So thank you for joining us. Bye-bye now.